All right, thank you so much, Teddy and Lynn Corona and Annie Lee. Thank you so much. It has been another Tuesday that I was out this evening, but I did record the whole evening.
Okay, so let's see if I am. Oh, wait a minute. Now, can you hear me? Oh, goodness. It seems, I don't know. Can you hear me? Hi. Hello. Hello. Okay. Okay. I got the thumbs up from Dove. Hello, everybody. I am so blessed to be here. Thank you so much. I am so excited as usual to come on and to get a chance to talk to you. I am in the process of you streaming this live, and I have pressed record on my Ustream channel, and so I'm welcoming everybody who is either here in the room or in Radio Land. So hi, 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 hi. So listen, I'm just so elated to be here after experiencing Resurrection Sunday, the going through the whole Easter celebration, and to then come in here and be able to talk and share with you is just an awesome occasion as always. So it's Tuesday. It is we're in the month of April officially, and this is Sandra Bishop. I want to give you my information before I get started, and then I can jump into exactly what I want to talk to you about today. So, sandrasaidit.com is my website, and I have a Ustream, hopefully, a Ustream screen there, as well as on Facebook through Sandra Thrives. Anyway, you can either watch there or on sandrasaidit.com, and also you can listen on sandrasaidit.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Sam Bishop and friend me on Facebook at Sandra D Bishop. And I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio. So welcome everybody. My dad is um, is coming along. Yesterday we had a mild setback, but nonetheless, we are still trucking ahead, and all is well. I'm claiming it, and won't give any more power to any of that stuff other than to say that yesterday was an event. So they say it's a lot of times two steps forward and one step backwards, or one step forward and two steps backwards, however you want to look at it. But nonetheless, I still feel so blessed, so blessed, so blessed. I'm so blessed, so blessed, so blessed. As I know you are so blessed, so blessed, so blessed. Um, so coming off of Easter, I want to start off by, like I usually do, with my introduction to the Course in Miracles, which is right in the front of your book, right behind the table of contents, and right before the text. It reads like this. It says, Introduction. This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at to removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposites. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Ooh, so yeah, herein lies the peace of God, and herein lies the peace of you. The nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. So this weekend I was, I am like doing my meditations, and I am actually just enjoying them. I think I mentioned last week that I was in the midst of one of my meditations, and I was there in this space for so long that when I finally came out of it, my neck was killing me, and it just seemed like I had just been frozen in time. And it was such a, my meditation experiences are so good in the sense that I think I get lost for some period of time within the meditation. It's like I almost lose time and don't know when I go in and when I come out or anything like that. I just am there suspended. And a lot of times I don't remember anything that has happened. Sometimes I come out with wonderful messages. Sometimes I come up with just awesome feelings, and it just, it varies from day to day, but I have absolutely no expectation of what it's supposed to be like or feel like. I just know that I'm supposed to show up, and so I do. And in that, I think it just kind of reaffirms this inner peace that I have, this inner like something, this inner security that I feel, this authenticity that I talk about sometimes. And it's so wonderful when I get to be in that space. So this past weekend, it was so awesome because, I had a chance to do some reading. I had a chance to do some meditation. My sleeping has been going pretty good. And just even with my dad, the things that have happened and occurred has just kind of reaffirmed that I'm in my right place. I'm in my divine right place. I'm right where I need to be, right where I ought to be. And that's a good feeling. So as I was going through this thing, I watched a little bit of Soulful Sundays with Oprah. And this past Sunday, she had Joel Osteen on, and she wanted to talk about what she wanted him to talk about was the power of I am. And so as I listened, I'm thinking to myself, like I've been in metaphysics and New Thought and the Course in Miracles. I mean, for 20 30, I mean, all these years. I mean, more years in than not in. And so I didn't have any expectation of hearing anything new. That was the thing. But I know that for me, I was sitting there like I know I tell people all the time, I repeat all the time that no people pleasing that's in the Course in Miracles, and that David Hoffmeister said at the conference, the no people pleasing. I am practicing that with all abandon, reckless abandon, just no people pleasing, no people pleasing, no people pleasing. And so even when I come to this room as a teacher, I'm saying to myself, like I hear the way other people teach, and I hear how we share the Course in Miracles, and and I know that there are all these different ways of sharing, but I'm saying to myself, no people pleasing. And as I say that to myself, I'm saying that I do this the way that Sandra does it, not the way that anybody else does it. And I sit up and I listen. I may not always be in the room, but sometimes I do tune in to just the radio and just listen and listen to other folks. And while everybody's sharing is wonderful, it's like I've got to do it the way I do it. And I say to myself, no people pleasing, no people pleasing, no people pleasing. And so that's the way I like to do it. So in that vein of no people pleasing, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this, and I'm watching, and Oprah's on there and she's got her show, and she's got a Twitter feed behind her. Now let me tell you guys a little story about the Twitter feed. I went to NPR. It comes on here in Cleveland, National Public Radio, and and I listen to it from time to time, especially when I'm in my car, because I don't like to listen to all this, music and all that other stuff. I just listen to the talk radio. So I'm listening to NPR, and they were having an event downtown Cleveland. And it was, all these people coming in to talk about, I don't even remember what they were talking about, but some folks that I really admired were in town for this. And so I thought, oh my goodness, a national show being broadcast nationally. I need to be in on this. And so I take my car, turn it, and I go downtown, or I start heading downtown. And as I'm, they got Juan Williams and Gwen Eiffel and all these other folks down there, national folks. And I'm tweeting, I'm on my Twitter feed, and I'm saying, to the National Public Radio show, how much is it to get in? Is it full? Will I have any problems getting in? I really want to meet Gwen Eiffel. I'm just, just on my phone, just tweeting like crazy as I'm headed down to the auditorium. So I get down to this public auditorium, and I go into the auditorium. Okay, so there was a charge, but okay, so I affirmed that I was going to get in. I wasn't going to have any problems. I kind of like, because nobody was tweeting me back, I just kind of made up my mind I was going anyway, and I was going to make it happen. And so I just waltzed right into the door. I go right past all the ushers and all the other people that were taking the reservations and everything else. I go right in. And when I get in there, I go in and I sit down. I find me a seat and I sit down. And so the guy that's next to me, he's an older white guy. He looks at me and he says, "Hi, Sandra," or he said something like Miss Bishop or something like that. And I'm looking at him like, "Do I really know you?" kind of thing. And he was like, he points up at the screen, and they had this huge projector screen. I mean, like huge, that took up the entire length of the stage. And on this giant projector screen, they had tweets. And out of the 30 tweets that were up there, 15 of them were mine. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, would somebody else tweet so you could get all these crazy tweets off of there that I was doing? And so so when Oprah was doing her show on Sunday, I saw the Twitter feed up behind her on the screen, up, behind her and Joel Osteen, and I thought, Twitter feed, okay, let me start tweeting. Because of course, I want to get on Oprah's Twitter feed. No people pleasing, right? So I'm up there and I'm from home, and I'm like sitting there and I'm tweeting, like tweeting. And I'm trying to get on Oprah's Twitter feed because I'm thinking to myself, everybody in the audience is going to see it. And so this I am thing, I had to put in, not the I am that I am, that that Jesus and Moses, and the Ten Commandments was on this past weekend. Not that, but I wanted to tweet simply that I am love. I know. It's so silly, I know, but there was just this thing that I wanted everybody to be in agreement with me for just a second. I mean, it's a power of agreement. There's a power in sending out a vibration. There's a power in you reading my words or hearing what I'm saying. There's a power in that. And if just for an instant, we all can just, tune into the same frequency at the same time, even if we just get a collective 3,000 or 4,000 people. There's power in that. And just simply by somebody reading the words and saying the words, I am love, or I am beautiful, or I am worthy, or I am special, or I am a child of God, I am the perfect child of God. However it is, it's like all of us, as we say that, we come into agreement, even if you don't believe it at the time. It's as if there is a vibrational frequency simply to the I am. And so uh, Oprah and Joel talked about this I am. So the power of I am and whatever you put behind it. Because remember, I'm so excited, you guys, because there was so much stuff that I wanted to share with you. And even as it's flowing out, I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm not people pleasing. And so if I'm not people pleasing, I'm sharing with you what struck me, what was important to me. I want you to know that you are special, I know this book tells us not about specialness. We're not special. All of us are. All of us, all of this oneness that is in this presence called God, that I am that I am. So I'm watching the Ten Commandments this weekend. And it's so funny because, we like to have a tendency to think that, they're not quite where, in our ego space, we want to say that our ego space would say that the Old Testament is not quite where we are, that the Old Testament doesn't um, capture the essence of what we're studying here, like the Course in Miracles may. We have this tendency to kind of want to marginalize certain thought systems as if they are as if they don't carry within them seeds and nuggets that have basically been planted to get us to the point that we are in now, to this space. And so I remember when the first thing that just struck me as I was watching the Course in not the Course in Miracles, the Ten Commandments. um, Moses, when he found out that he was the child or the son of, what was the woman's name? The Hebrew slave woman, Miriam. Anyway, when he found out that this was his mother, he went back to her little place, her little space, her little apartment, her little um, where she was living. He goes back there, and when he goes in, they were trying to say to him, Moses, nobody has to know that you're actually a son of a Hebrew slave. Nobody has to know any of that. And so they were trying to tell him to go. You are a prince, and you are, next in line for the throne, and you can go. It's kind of like the story of Jesus. You don't have to go through this crucifixion. You can escape. You can go. You don't have to put yourself on this. And he said in that line that just struck me, I mean, and that wasn't the first line, but in that particular line that struck me, he said that I have to follow the path that my feet have been placed upon. And so often we are so caught up in, you know what, I don't have to walk that path. We take a detour. We do other things other than what is before us to do. I always say to myself that what is before me is for me. But not all of us do that. And so Moses in this thing, he was saying, you know what? I don't know where this is leading to me, but this is the path that my feet have been placed upon. And so this is the path that I'm going to walk. And I thought, oh, how awesome, how wonderful. And so as we see the progression of his walk through this whole thing, we see that, it wasn't an intentional thing. It wasn't the ego that said, oh, I need to go out here and save my people and tell Pharaoh to set my people free. It wasn't that. It was simply taking the next progression of steps. And so when he gets to this mountain, he gets up on this mountain and he does this thing that, when he tells them, to go back and tell Pharaoh to set my people free, he does this thing. He says, well, you know what? who should I say sent me? I mean, there's this whole thing about, oh, don't send me, send Aaron. He's a much better, speaker than I am. I think you got the wrong guy. Was that Moses? Anyway, so it's kind of like this. We are always like trying to abdicate our role, abdicate this position in life to somebody else, as if we're not totally equipped and totally ready to do what it is that is before us to do. And so he's saying, who should I say sent me? And he says, tell them I am sent you. I am that I am. And so I'm sitting there as I'm thinking about this, and this I am love, this I am love. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself that love is a power unlike any other power. Love is, the opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposite, right? Love is an awesome power that we all possess. It is not something that you do, it is what you are. It is the very essence of your being. It is that which you were created out of, this love. And so when we recognize that I am love, when you say to yourself, I am love, you connect vibrationally with all that there is. Now, it's amazing to me because I know that a lot of people don't really know the truth about themselves, that I am love. A lot of people don't recognize that. I was coming out of the hospital today, and as I was walking out of the hospital, I saw this woman, and she's got this attitude and a look on her face like, don't talk to me. I'm too important for you to speak to. I'm too important for you to look at. And tweet, tweet, I need to hit my little thing again to show you that I've got a special car and that I've got on a special coat of many colors as I'm walking in the hospital. So don't you talk to me, girly, because I'm important. And and it was so funny because even in that, love doesn't need agreement to be what it is. It simply is. And so whether you agree with me or not, whether you know it or not, there is that there is that presence, there is that part of you that no matter what you may think, no matter how special you may perceive yourself to be, or how worthless you may perceive yourself to be, there is that thing that you can simply not change because it is the stuff out of which you were made. Love, love created me like itself. Love created you like itself. And because you were caught up in your delusion, you may not know it, but I do. And so what I speak to is something that you may not even know that. And I can call forth this love in you simply by recognizing it in me. And so if I know that there is a vibrational power to this thing called love, then I need to like bear witness to that at every moment of every day. Bear witness to it. And then the wonderful thing about that is because it's vibrational truth, it attracts like to itself. So here's the awesome thing about that. And so I do this, don't I? I get all worked up. I get all excited. I get all like, like I am love and I am in love. I am love. I am la 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 la. I know I get all caught up in that. And so I was really vibing on this thing because I kept thinking to myself, salvation is a collaborative venture, right? And as I know, as I recognize the love that I am, I have to too recognize the love that you are. And when I recognize the love that you are, I am experiencing that at one minute, that atonement, that connectedness with you. I am connecting there. And so no matter what you may think, no matter what that woman may have thought, no matter what anybody may think, the truth, if we know that the truth is, if we know that the truth, the vibrational truth to all things is love, if we know that to be true, and we speak to that, then we uh, hopefully now, let me say it like this, because sometimes we need to work on changing our own minds about what's true for us. Um, uh, so let me dwell on this second for a second here. Um, how do I want to start off here? Because this was so, for me, it was so good. It was so, so wonderful. So, what I deny you, I deny me. The cost of giving is receiving. Okay. If I withhold something from my brother, I withhold it from myself. There's no gray points on this. Okay. There's no exceptions in this. What I would deny you, I would deny me. Because truthfully, we're one and the same. Truthfully, that's where we meet. Vibrationally, that's where we are. If we recognize that allness of God, ah, nothing unreal exists, nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the truth of God. That we're here to remove the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. If I know that the truth is that we're all made out of and created out of this one love that is God, then I'll know that the truth about it is that in spite of what you may see, you and I are one. So, in spite of your judgments that you may have about yourself, I know that you and I are one. As I come into this truth, I recognize that if I want it for me, I have to also want it for you. If I don't want it for you, I don't want it for me. Um, as I see you, I shall see me. As I treat you, I shall treat me. Never forget this, because in you I shall find myself or lose myself. It says the same thing as I'm saying to you right now. If I would deny this to you, I would deny it to myself. That's how come when we don't want good for everybody, we ourselves can't have it. If I would say, oh man, I want a radio show, or I want a car, or if I want a good relationship, I can't have it if I would deny it to any of my brothers, any of my sisters, anything that exists. If I want to withhold from something, what I withhold from you, I withhold from myself. Because in truth, there is only one of us here. In truth, that which I do to you, I also do to myself. In truth, the very love that I am talking about as a power must be total in order for it to be at all. So if I want anything, I must also want it for everybody else, all else. I must also want that. And so a lot of times we don't realize that we're our own worst enemies, because what we want for ourselves and not for everybody else. And until we want it for everybody else, we truly can't have it for ourselves. So if I'm sitting up and I'm thinking like, oh, oh, I want to do this, or oh, I want to do that, and I don't want the same for Lynn, or for Dove, or for um uh whoever. I mean, if I would withhold that from Regis, I'm withholding it from me. There's no gray matter in that. So if I want to bring to me that which I want, I must also, like relinquish freely. So that holds true not just for the things, but it also holds true for stuff like getting in money. So if I really want money, I must also be willing to relinquish it, because then I take part of the flow. The cost of giving is receiving. I must take part in the flow that is there, that reciprocal relationship that is there. And I get in direct proportion to what I give. What am I giving? If I'm giving nothing, I'm getting nothing. And so sometimes we have to let go of these ideas that we have about, holding on to anything. Because as we hold on to something, what we do is that we cut off the circulation, we cut off the flow, we cut off this thing called love because we're putting a block there to its access, to its flow. And so, yeah, and if you want to awaken, you must also want everybody else to awaken as well. Here, you know what? Sometimes it's so plain for me. We want to have these perceptions that, a certain idea belongs to us, a certain idea belongs to me. And I don't want to share that idea because if I share that idea, then, somebody else could take credit for my idea. And so I think that it's my idea. And so therefore I'll, want to keep it and hold it over here like, no, it's mine, you know? And really, who am I denying? Who am I holding it from but myself? And so I can't withhold from you and not withhold from myself. And so all of this is about learning this thing called love, and that love, just has to be free and it has to flow. Just sort of like, like love. I mean, like water, it just has to flow. And anytime you block it, you're blocking it from yourself. So I remember I had this professor in college, Professor Dr. Ducharme. No, it wasn't Ducharme. I'm sorry. It was my other favorite guy. Oh, Dr. Buchanan. Dr. Buchanan. He was just my absolute favorite professor. And he was so funny because he was so stoic like, he would come in with his smart shoes and his smart suit. And, he would have a little bow tie. He was just so, do I want to call him just stoic is the word I used for him. He was just always just so, just so perfectly. Everything was just perfectly in place. He looked like the type that would wash his hands 100 times a day. Like he must have had some kind of, didn't like germs or whatever. And so I used to sit up in class. I'm no people pleasing, right? I used to sit up in class and I would fantasize about this man, not necessarily with me. It was like that I would fantasize that, because he came in and he was just so stoic, that he was so like he would wear these plaid suits. Do I want to call them plaid? It wasn't like a loud plaid. It was like a wool. It was very Ivy League. He was just so just, I don't know. I don't even know how. I don't even have words to describe him. He was just so whatever he was just so much that. And he would come in and he would line up his feet on the floor. He'd look down and make sure that he was standing in the perfect spot before he would start to talk. And then he would walk to another spot as if he would, hit a certain point, and he would stand there and he'd cock his head to the side. It was a philosophy professor, and it all seemed like it was just immaculate the way that he talked and the way that he was. It could have been herringbone. I mean, but just everything about him was just so just perfect. And so, I would sit there and I'd fantasize because he was just so tight. He was so tight that I just had this illusion that when he went home, he would probably have a dungeon where his wife would spank him, and that he would get caught up in all this weird stuff. But but anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is because we would read all these different philosophers. Yeah, Rene Descartes was one of them. Rene Descartes, and Immanuel Kant, and we would just go through and we would read all these different philosophers, and we would listen to him as he talked about them and the things. And there was this one out of Rene Descartes' book, and he talked about this idea of having a good will. And he said, there's a lot of times that we get caught up in doing things because we're people pleasers or for the accolades of others, we'll go out and we'll let somebody over in traffic. And he would say, and if you turn to look to see if they waved or said a thank you, he was like, then you've done it from the wrong reason. He was like, that the quote went, it said, nothing in this world nor nothing outside of this world is good without exception, except that of a good will. And I remember thinking about that because he kept saying that the moment we look for recognition or appreciation or thanks for anything we've done, we did it for reasons other than simply being a good person or from the standpoint of a good will. We're looking for the accolades or approval of others. We're people pleasing. And so he's saying that if you truly want to recognize yourself as having a good will or being a good person, then you stop looking for those things. You stop looking outside of yourself for recognition for the things that you do or the things that you give or the things that you have. You do it simply because it is within you to do it. It is within you to give. It is within you to be generous. It is within you to be nice. It is within you to be forgiving. And for so much of what we've learned throughout our lifetime about religion, we've done what we've done not because of us having a good will, but because we want to prove that we're saved, or we want to show God how good we are, so that we get into this narrow road that we perceive to be the kingdom of God, because we want to be forgiven, because we want something other than just having simply a good will. Even the Course tells us that man is generous out of his own self-interest. So if we recognize that we're generous out of our own self-interest, it becomes not about other people, but really about this thing of no people pleasing. I'm just trying to do what it is in my heart to do because I want to do it because I'm because I'm because I'm here for me, because I'm here and I'm learning what it means to be love. I am love. And so as I am love and I vibrate on that frequency of love, it's not about other folks. It's simply about recognizing that the truth of the matter is that I am the very love of God. I am the very love of God. And as I recognize that I am the love of God, I also recognize that you are God too. Um, I want to hear your thoughts on that sometime, Lynn. Okay, so on Lynn. Okay. Virtuous ends in the grotesque. Yes. Trying to attain virtuous ends in the grotesque. Yes. And so it becomes this thing of recognizing that that we are here and we are expressing our own divinity through doing what it is, what our truth is. It's not about people pleasing. It's not about looking for accolades of others. It's not about this whole idea of being the saved one or the savior or any of that stuff. And yes, you become all of that, but but ah, it's not because of how it looks. Jesus, I remember in Matthew, Jesus was going in through and he was talking about the people who the Pharisees and Sadducees and all that stuff. And he was like, you seek the high places, you put on these robes and you want the big sleeves, and you want people to say rabbi and father to you. And he was like, you do all this stuff for the accolades of man, and when you do that for the accolades of man, you get your just rewards. But if you're doing this, if you're coming from a space of love because you know that you're love and you are connecting with the love that I am, then that becomes something different. But if you're just looking to get, an award, simply take the little award and keep it moving. So here, let me take a sip. I get so excited. So it becomes this thing of let me remove the blocks to my awareness of love's presence, because that is truly what I am. Uh, Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad it's helpful to you right now. So it becomes this thing. So I am vibrating on this I am. If I am saying that I am love, and I'm recognizing that you are love, this recognition is not predicated upon your agreement with me. It So I'm not sitting there and I'm not worried about that woman who walks past, um, just saying chocolates. That's funny. I'm not worried about this woman who walks past and had the look on her face like, don't talk to me. I'm not, my being love is not determined by what you decide to be on any given day. It is the truth of my being. And if I'm speaking to the truth of my being, and if I want the very best, if I want the very best for myself, if I want the very best, then what I'll do is I'll give you my very best. I'll send love forward to you. If I know that my being love is not determined or not predicated upon what somebody else does, then I'm consistent where I am. I found peace where I am. I am in that space because that's where my truth is, and that's where your truth is too. Some people would challenge us to diminish the light that we are. Isn't that miracles are seen in the light? Some people would want us to diminish the light that we are. Ah, and why? So that they would feel more comfortable? No. Is that why? Is it because they're more comfortable in a diminished capacity than they are in their fullness? Are they more comfortable at 60 watts than they are at 100? And so would you be? So here's the question. If I know that love created me like itself, and I'm truly walking, I'm truly trying to walk, I'm truly walking the spiritual path, why would I not vibrate at the capabilities, at my expanse, at my true capability of 100 watts rather than 60? Why would I throw away another 40 watts just to make people around me comfortable? Why not do like Jesus say, and if I be lifted up, I can draw all people up with me? Why not say that I'm going to vibrate up rather than try to vibrate down where it makes somebody else so comfortable? Why not do that? And so as I started thinking about this, I kept thinking to myself, it all comes to back to what you think about yourself and what you think is possible for you. So uh uh yeah, what you think to be possible for you, right? And so I am always in this mindset of, let me do what's in my highest interest to do. Let me up, let me increase my good. Let me increase my vibrations. Let me increase my love. Let me see what it's like to live at the expanse rather than just at the marginal spots in my life. And so that's where I was. I was just in that. And I knew that if I withheld love from any person, then I'm also withholding it from myself. And so in order not to do that, and wait a minute, and wouldn't that be people pleasing if I'm simply trying to mirror what you're doing? Isn't that some degree of people pleasing? I'm not trying to mirror your smallness. I'm trying to mirror what is your possibilities, what your possibilities are. And so let's expand into that. So I sit here, I'm listening, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, Moses said, that, let me walk the path that my feet have been set upon. Our feet have been set upon a particular path. However you got here, however you got to this room, to this space, to A Course in Miracles, or wherever you are, however you got here, now that the path has been laid before you, what does that mean for you? What does it mean for me? I'm always asking myself the same question. What does that mean for me? And it means simply being able to do what is before me to do, saying yes to Spirit, however Spirit is to guide me. And sometimes I don't know what that looks like. Sometimes, even as I'm doing this, I trust. And that's what Dove is always talking about, this developing a sense of trust. When people come here, I don't know how you do it. Some people, their comfort level is to, prepare, write out a speech, and when I get here, I'll read to you what I've written, because that's their comfort level. But if what we're doing is trusting, then run to the cliff and jump off. I mean, I'm sorry, don't literally jump off. That's what I do. I mean, just run and jump, 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 jump. I mean, come on. So what does it mean? What does it mean? So, 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 so at some point we have to stop worrying about what other people think and where other people are and how they're going to perceive all of this stuff. You are the light. Let this love from you shine forth and cast this divine light over everybody. you know and so if you want to be in this truth, if you want to live your truth, then stop, take off the I want to say bullshit. Yeah, jump with me, babe. I mean, take off all the little stuff. So, yeah. So let me see. I flipped to a page. I like to read a page. I flipped to a page, and I'm going to read it. I'm getting close to my time. I'm getting close to my time. Okay, I think I read this before. Does that matter? No, it doesn't matter. But I think I read this before. You and your brother are the same as God Himself is one and not divided in His will. I think I read that before. So I'm going to pretend like I didn't just flip to that page. I'm going to close my book, take a sip of water, and then I'm going to open my book again. And I'm going to, shucks, read. Yourself retains its thoughts, and they remain with your mind and in the mind of God. The Holy Spirit holds salvation in your mind and offers it the way to peace. Salvation is a thought you share with God because His voice accepted it for you and answered in your name that it was done. And that just brought up a thought for me. Let me finish reading. Thus is salvation kept among the thoughts yourself holds dear and cherishes for you. We will attempt today to find this thought whose presence in your mind is guaranteed by Him who speaks to you from your one self. Your hourly 5-minute practicing to you from your one self. Okay, so salvation comes from my one self. Its thoughts are mine to use. Salvation comes from my one self. That's the lesson that I was reading from, and I didn't mean to flip into the lessons, but I did, and so I am ahead of myself. Yet mind apart from spirit cannot think. Um. Oh wow. So it's interesting. I was watching the other day. I was watching some program, and the woman was on there and she was talking about getting to a place of peace, getting to a place of peace within herself. And it became apparent that it happened to me a few times in the midst of meditation. I might have told you guys about this, and I'll tell you about this just because it happened to me. I was in a meditation one time. Might have shared this before. I'm not sure. I was in this meditation, and in my meditation, I was going past. Oh, shucks, this is a long story. So I think I did tell you guys this before. I was in this meditation and I was sitting longer than I was comfortable sitting because some woman who I was watching on the television, she was talking about meditation and she was saying that her I don't know, her instructor, her guru, had told her that the amount of time, the proper amount of time to sit in meditation was always 5 minutes longer than it was comfortable for her to sit. And I remember being really irritated because I was thinking that the lady was talking too much in class. And I kept thinking, like, would you just shut up and let the instructor talk? I want to hear the instructor and not her commentary. So she was saying, sit 5 minutes longer than it was comfortable. And so when I got into my meditation the next time, that idea came to me as I was about to finish up. I felt myself come up out of the meditation, and and then I thought, no, let me sit 5 minutes longer because I this is the comfortable point for me. So let me sit 5 minutes longer. And so as I sat there 5 minutes longer, it was as if I'm sitting there and in my mind, in my space. I mean, and sometimes my meditations are so awesome. Sometimes they're just, so juicy and awesome. And in this particular time, I remember sitting there and I'm in there and I've got my eyes closed, but I don't know what the heck was going on. But all of a sudden I felt something blink. And I was thinking to myself, like, what 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 was what was that? Like I didn't blink, my eyes are closed. How could I blink and my eyes are closed? And I felt myself draw back in consciousness. And as I turned in consciousness, I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of making a slight turn to see what the heck was that, what that blinked. And I realized that I was like, wait a minute, I ain't in here by myself. I mean, that was my thought. I was like thinking, I'm not here by myself. And then I thought, what could be looking at the world through my eyes that could possibly blink? And so for me, when I it was just when Gene Houston said that we are the lensing point of God consciousness here on earth, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, like, wow, when I say that I'm host to God, it's not just that I'm host to God. It's not words. It becomes this real presence that is within me, observing the world through me. It was as if there was and there is something that experiences this world through this thing called Sandra. And so, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself in this 5 extra minutes of discomfort that in that 5 minutes, I got something that was so juicy and so wonderful that I realized that, man, I really am the host. I am really the host of God consciousness. You are really hosting something so much greater than yourself. But because we haven't sat, sometimes when we don't sit in the silence, we don't really know our own truth. And we're busy looking for the truth and looking for confirmation about a truth. But the truth that is already within you, that's not there for somebody else to point to, but rather there for you to recognize and know for yourself. When you know that you are loved, you know that you are made out of the very essence that God is. Knowing that you are not separate and apart, but one with this source energy that is God. And so when you recognize that you are sourced in love, when you are sourced in God, when you come to that realization for yourself, then you are connecting with that very power. And through loving what is around you, you also connect with that very power. And that power is so much greater than you were all by yourself and outside of this recognition of what you are. So in that power of love and loving, as you connect with this thing called love, with the truth of yourself, as you connect, you draw things that are like yourself, and what is unlike you, nothing. It's just that not everything recognizes that it is one and like you. And so it becomes this thing of connectedness through the power of love. That is the power in itself that is so much greater than any of these separate ideas. So, um, I mean, all of it is so good, it's so juicy. And I mean, there's so much that I could tell you. We sit there and we think, I think, and you may think, I don't know who thinks, but somehow we think that what we're experiencing is different than what somebody else is experiencing. But you may be experiencing at the level, and your level may be 60 watts, it may be 80 watts, it may be 100 watts, but you're experiencing at the level at which you're experiencing. And so somebody else may simply be doing the best that they can to get to 40 watts because of the environment in which they were born, in which they find themselves. And 40 watts may be exactly where they were meant to be. Because sometimes you see we've got 40-watt bulbs, we've got 60-watt bulbs, we've got 100-watt bulbs, we've got 200-watt bulbs. We've got all of these different wattages that are coming out. Yes, megawatts. We've got all of these different wattages that are possible. And, but it doesn't mean that one is better or more or anything else than other. It simply means that that's where they are. And so at this level, at this rotation of their soul, that may be, they may only get to 40 watts. They may be brought up in a house where, I mean, it's just all that they can do just to find peace. It may be just, I mean, because sometimes, in depending upon where you are, if you were brought up in Bosnia, it may be all that you can do just to find peace. You may not be trying to find the course. You may just try to figure out where's the love. Some folks will be doing the best that they can where they are with the light that they have. You are the light. You are the light. And so it becomes incumbent upon you to shine what you have where you are to the expanse that is capable for you. If only 60 is capable for you, cool. God bless you. Don't be trying to please me by being a megabulb. Just do you. And as you do you, just turn around and bear witness to the fact that it's possible. It's possible that you can be a megawatt. But if you're not a megawatt yet, then just shine at your own capability. And so, I'll close with this because it was so funny. I just finished eating before I came on, and I was eating leftovers from Easter. I went by my sister's house and she made me a plate to go. So I got a little piece of the honey baked ham that she had, and but she made me a plate of chicken and rice, and I was thinking to myself, I don't want no doggone chicken and rice. I mean, chicken and rice, and she makes it for my niece who is she's got some health challenges, cerebral palsy, and so she hasn't, she makes different food for her than so she makes this chicken and rice. And my sister, I'll tell you, we called the fire department one time when she was younger because she had boiled an egg and burned it. And she boiled this egg, the water boiled out of the pot, the pot started smoking and then caught on fire. We called with the fire department on this doggone boiled egg. So I was thinking to myself that, my sister probably would never be a good cook. But the funny thing is that since that egg incident, it has gotten progressively better. I mean, the egg incident was 30, 35 years ago, and she has gotten progressively better. And as I was sitting in there and I was eating my chicken and rice, had I stayed stuck in the mindset that my sister can't boil an egg, then, I wouldn't be able to sit there with this chicken and rice and appreciate just how good it was. And so I try to create a space in order for people to be different and for them to grow and for them to discover that they're megawatts. And so it becomes incumbent upon us to hold to the truth that all of us are love. All of us are in that. And me understanding love doesn't mean that at some certain times I won't be critical. At certain times I won't say, wow, you couldn't boil an egg. I will, I mean, part of me loving you means that I need to speak my truth and not try to people please. But the fact of the matter is I can speak my truth, I can love, I can be love, I can recognize love, all of that stuff, and know that it is simply true. And so today I am love, and I recognize that you are love too. Dove has given me my little drum roll and my message to say, Sandra, that the music is playing. And so, you guys, I want to say thank you so much. Yes, my website is sandrasaidit.com. Follow me on Twitter at Sam Bishop and all of that good stuff. I love you and I appreciate you. And so I thank you. And I'm dropping the mic. All right. See y'all. All right. And see you too.